want to see that kid in 6 months. I want to see that kid in 6 months and say, thank you for advising me to start taking Ozempic. That'd be a pretty good payoff to that commercial. And I'll tell you one other quick thing. I have no interest in Ben Stills singing like a European.
They have by far the highest ceiling out of any team in the league. Elite talent, NBA shot making, versatility, and the best coach in the league in John Shire. They can beat you in multiple ways. Half court, full court, run and gun, walk it up. And they out-execute you, maybe except for that game versus Texas Tech.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
When did we become, so bitter that we can't accept another man's apology? We make mistakes all the time. And as a grown man, you have to say, I'm sorry every once in a while. And it's okay to say that. And the apology, I think, should be accepted. And in this case, I'm accepting it.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League are now official partners with Kalshi. It takes effect this week. Each side can use the other's intellectual property for co-marketing purposes, and Kalshi will be promoted during home games at the United Center and on Blackhawks broadcasts. First of its kind, certainly probably not the last as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Arvel Reese at 8%. I got to tell you right now, I have no idea who that is if they're playing a Joe Bowman show.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting
Who is that?
here, but I have no idea.
You need to know?
But no idea. But don't you have to pick the Heisman winner, Don? Isn't that like the rule of thumb if you're going to take a quarterback? Is he not the best quarterback?
The early.
GameTime decisions live on SportsGrid. Happy to be with you here on a Monday night as we have finalized our Super Bowl 60 matchup. Kevin Walsh here from the Decisions Desk, where yesterday we saw the Seattle Seahawks in a phenomenal, high-scoring, back-and-forth NFC Championship game take out the Los Angeles Rams and winning that best-of-3 series. 31-27 and over and a cover. Sam Darnold going bar for bar with Matthew Stafford was not on my bingo card, and yet it is exactly what happened in that football game. And Seattle settles in as the Super Bowl favorite, where they will play the New England Patriots, who played a bang under and did not cover against Jarrett Stidham and the Denver Broncos, a 10-7 final where the lone Patriot touchdown came from Drake May on the ground. May not throwing for 100 yards in the game. When you're playing Jarrett Stidham, 86 is just enough. The Super Bowl odds are out and available, and we will talk about the road that we took to get here. But the numbers are going to likely still be moving somewhat. We saw openers of 3.5 all bet up 4.5 to 5 on the New England side, getting 5 points. If you do not know, I am already in on a side in this Super Bowl. We'll talk about that here on this Monday night. Right now, everywhere I can see, 4.5 across the board. Maybe we have settled in. Total-wise, we've seen a move as well. I know for a fact these numbers were 46.5. I do not see any more 46.5. We see 46 and 45.5 right now with this total, a game that will be played in San Francisco, of course, where the Niners play their home games. They had an opportunity to be the 1 seed, as we all know, in the NFC. It was Seattle who took them out, took that spot, and will now be the Super Bowl favorite. And this is going to be a lot of fun to break this game down over the next 2 weeks here on Game Time Decisions. We've got some good stuff coming your way, certainly in the Super Bowl week that we will do here on the Decisions Desk. And you know that we will mix it in throughout this entire week as well. I am excited for this Super Bowl. As someone who bet Denver, stage of elimination to lose in the Super Bowl, yesterday's game against the Pats was a little tough to watch because if Denver was able to get by, they would have been slaughtered in the Super Bowl. I do believe that. And if Bo Nix was healthy, I also think Denver would have moved on. The sacrifice is, I think we have a fun Super Bowl on our hands. I think we've got an interesting game to actually break down between Drake May and Sam Darnold. So really, really excited for that. Now, I am sure plenty of you tuning in here saying, hey, can't be all Super Bowl. We got a slate to lock into. And you're absolutely right, especially when we get the college basketball world stepping up to the podium like this. On a night where the NFL now is going to be off for a little bit, right? No college football national championship like we had a week ago. You wonder, hey, what's this board going to bring? It's not every single night where you get big ranked games. We have 2 of them. In the ACC, it is Duke, it is Louisville. A top 5 team in college basketball in the Duke Blue Devils, an 18-1 group whose lone loss came at Madison Square Garden by a point. Duke has played Louisville where they were nearly upset in that game. Or did Louisville close as the slight favorite? I don't want to mess that up. It was around 1.5 either direction. It would have been a narrow upset. And it looked like it was on the way. Louisville led by as many as 12 in that game. They lost by 11. Boozer did what he's done all season. He was the best player on the floor, again. And he has been the best player in college basketball this season. Leads the nation in scoring and is leading this Duke team on both sides of the floor. But Louisville has their freshman star back, Mikael Brown, who here on this desk, we took a long shot to win the Wooden Award. That's not going to happen. And even if he stayed healthy, I don't think it was in the cards. But Brown back for the first time in over a month against Va Tech. 20 points in 29 minutes on 7 of 11 shooting, chipped in 6 dimes, and they put up 85 on Va Tech. What does Mikael Brown facing Duke for the first time look like? I'm excited to find out. And then late night, number 1 versus number 1 possibly. The number 1 team in college basketball, Arizona, 20-0, unbeaten with an outrageous list of wins. This started on the opening night of the year where they knocked off the Florida Gators. It continued with a win at UConn, picked off Auburn, picked off Alabama, and are so far holding serve in Big 12 play. But the lightest number we have seen in some time for the Arizona Wildcats is they play potentially the number 1 overall pick in A.J. Dybonsa, who is a decimal point off of Cam Boozer for leading the country in scoring. And Dybonsa, who is making it a mission to push Boozer for that Wooden Award. And it's going to be a tough task, but a 43-point performance against Utah certainly helped. And Dybonsa knocking off Arizona, if he's able to do it, would go a long way. It is not outrageous to say that on Boozer's resume, not only is there not a win of that level, there isn't an opportunity for one. It's not, again, it's not what it's about. But if Dybonsa gives you 25 and a win against the number 1 team in the country who has not lost just yet, those Wooden Awards could be on the move. We're going to get bets. We're involved with both of those games tonight, so we will lock in for you. Now, on the NBA side, if you're looking to bet, okay, you've got the Cavs and the Magic, where Cleveland is a 5-point favorite. Then there's a couple of 8 o'clock tips here, some bigger numbers with Houston laying 10.5 to Memphis, and then a 7.5 with Boston and Portland. You do have a road favorite spot for the Lakers. Small, though, only 1.5 against the Chicago Bulls. Lakers still trying to hold serve as they await the return of Austin Reeves, who's proved to be more important to this team than maybe the Lakers were necessarily ready for. And I'm not trying to say that you knew Reeves was supposed to be one of the top 3 guys on this team, but they are so reliant on the top 3 guys that the way these spreads look, the way these results look, you can tell they missed the absence of Reeves. But potentially the biggest game on this slate remaining comes to us with Minnesota and Golden State. The Minnesota Timberwolves, my preseason bet to win the NBA championship, value and potential, I thought it met well, are on a 5-game losing streak. Losses at Houston, at San Antonio, okay. At Utah, home against Chicago, getting blown out by 36 points to these Golden State Warriors. The Wolves need a response tonight, desperately. And then some, quite frankly, because this is an unrelenting Western Conference. And it's a Wolves team that now finds themselves a part of the play-in if the season ended today. We'll see how they step up against the Warriors. I think there are a few angles you could play on that Minnesota side. But let's knock it down right here. Let's get into the mix. Super Bowl 60, those odds and what they'll tell us next.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, you know, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. There's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But, these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Hey, daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the prospect of daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
We will get to tonight's slate momentarily, but I think everybody right now, I can tell within our office here, the team, a lot of buzz about this Super Bowl, as there should be, right? The simple reality is if Denver got in, you'd have a couple of people thinking, hey, worth it on the side. And you'd have some people saying, hey, take the money line shot. But it would have lessened, I think, the appetite for the game. Seattle against New England gives us a lot to discuss, especially on this New England side. And the New England Patriots offer us a very interesting resume to dissect. And I do think there are some Patriots fans specifically who are looking to have their cake and eat it too. It is okay to say that the New England Patriots had an easy regular season schedule. They did. They 100% did. They also went 14-3, didn't lose a road game, and blew out a bunch of football teams. The New England Patriots took advantage of that schedule. And not barely, they were dominant. This is a football team that started 1-2 and were 14-3. That is a very impressive run, despite the fact that it came against a very easy schedule. And then you get to the postseason, with the New England Patriots against the Chargers are playing a pretty good defense. And the difference in the game is the New England defense was able to take advantage of where the Chargers were weak on offense. The difference in the game wasn't Drake May being spectacular. The difference in the game was the Chargers' offense, which had shown that they had some real problems. Well, those were just multiplied in that game. New England made sure to do so, holding them to only 3. But we saw that the Chargers were a lopsided team. And those scales kept tipping. Offense to defense. Elite defensively, bad offensively. And here come the Houston Texans, who are a dynamite defense and did give New England trouble. But C.J. Stroud, with 4 interceptions, right? Fumbling the football, and everything just felt crazy. It was once again a great job by New England taking advantage of that opponent. And I think the reality for New England in each of those first 2 games is they didn't just win. They won by 13. They won by 12. Overall, they controlled those football games. And then New England played in an AFC championship game where a team who had been very fortunate got their biggest gift yet. Not just a backup quarterback. A quarterback in Jared Stidham with no reps this year under his belt. A quarterback who had not started in years, plural, years, since you had seen Jared Stidham start a football game. And that backup quarterback was the difference in the game. Jared Stidham not being able to convert on a 4th and 1 in a way that I think Bo Nix more likely would have, because I think the play call's probably different. But even that doesn't matter. Jared Stidham throwing the football on the ground, giving New England their only touchdown of the game. And there's your ball game. And New England just took what they were given, right? Capitalized on a touchdown there, found a field goal later, and shut the whole operation down. Run it, they can't beat us. The snow made it worse. We know that. The weather was crazy. But Denver couldn't do anything with their backup quarterback. And that was a very fortunate setup for New England. There are Patriots fans bragging about having played top 5 defenses during this AFC playoff run. I wouldn't brag about that when your offense hasn't been good against those defenses. That's silly. Acting as if the world was picking against New England in that game. That's silly. Pretending as if you were any level of dominance in a game you didn't cover is very, very silly. As Patriots fans want their path to the Super Bowl not only to be acknowledged, but celebrated. Oh my gosh, how did they do it? We know how they did it. But they did it. And we go back to the top of this. Yes, this has been a fortunate team. But this is a very good football team who has a quarterback that had a top 2 MVP caliber season, a coach who had a top 2 coach of the year season, a defense that's raising its level in the playoffs, and should not be treated as if they are there to be rolled over in the Super Bowl as if they were Stidham and Denver. New England has not lost by more than 4 since September. This is, to me, going to be a very fun Super Bowl. And we will be able to talk about a lot of different angles. But I think this is a close Super Bowl. And it's not being booked as such. So despite the fact that New England is fortunate to be here, I think they're more than live to take advantage of that fact. I'm already locked in on Patriots +5. There's likely more coming on that number or even at those 4.5s. We take the pivot to tonight's slate. 2 phenomenal ranked versus ranked matchups on the college basketball border next.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, you know, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. Certainly there's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But, these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. A, daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the prospect of daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Back right here on SportsGrid Game Time Decisions. I just want to say, if you're a Seahawk fan, you're like, all right, enough of, Patriots grid. We're going to talk Seattle. I think Seattle is the story of the weekend, but I think New England is the story of the Super Bowl, if that makes sense. we will talk Seattle. Okay, if you want, just off the top, Sam, look at this. Sam Darnold. All right, there you go. And now we can talk about tonight's college basketball games. Duke versus Louisville. I'm very, very excited to watch this game. Duke is a team that I do not, from some of the elite best teams in college basketball, I don't know if I have the best read on them because all of the numbers say that they are better than I necessarily think. They are third on KenPom overall. They are both fifth in offensive and defensive efficiency. And I'm well aware that they have what looks to be the best player in college basketball in Cam Boozer. It is what's behind that that I hesitate on. Maybe I am spending too much time comparing them to last year's group, which, how did they not win the title? Preseason pick to win it. Their entire top 5 drafted in the NBA. Cooper and Kahn look incredible. And I might be holding this Duke team instead of to the standard of this year's college basketball landscape to last year's. And if I am, I feel very confident then in being lower on this team, but that might be a miss. And it's where I think that's reflected. It's not just in some of the KenPom numbers, but this team beating Stanford by 30, very impressive. Very impressive. These trips to the West Coast for ACC teams or Big Ten teams are not easy. North Carolina had just lost to Stanford. 30 balling. Wow. Wake Forest I don't think Wake Forest is a walkover. Smoked that team by 21 points. It was impressive. It was I know they were laying a big number. I thought it was too many. It wasn't. What we have seen, though, from this Duke team is play against the better teams in the country, close games. Duke, despite being 18-1 with a loss by a point, is not unbeatable. And I think tonight they could be beat. But as I said, I don't necessarily feel as if I have a perfect read on them. I feel confident, though, in my read on Louisville, which is, with Mikal Brown, they are one of the absolute best offenses in the country. They are, at the moment, 7th, and that is with Mikal Brown missing a bunch of basketball, who is, I think, overall, their most important player. And Brown, in his first game back, you see the impact. I understand Virginia Tech is not Duke. It was also his first game in 6 weeks. And he scored 20 in 29 minutes with efficient shooting, chipping and assists, and impacting the game. So a team total at 73.5 on FanDuel for Louisville is too light to me. I'm going to play that over. It's my favorite way to get involved with this slate. On this slate, you will see Chris sticking with the hockey. And I don't know what it is, but hockey apparently brings straight bets out of Chris. So I got to respect it. Typically, this would be each team to score 2 with the Rangers. Honestly, I can't even be mad at a fate of the Rangers. They stink. Bruins team total over 3.5 plus 112. And then Sam, Sabres can't be on this slate. Yep, that was a lock. So we get this guy. Come on. Mikal Grunwald, anytime goal, plus 310. You know, I mean, we'll root it in. A lot of plus money here. And that continues with AJ, who's on BYU Mooney line, as they are at home against the number 1 team in the country in Arizona. And I do not mind that look from AJ at all, as we've seen the value of home court advantage in college basketball remain a big factor year in and year out. And it could very well be the deciding factor within this game. And those plus prices, by the way, are largely exiting the market, more minus 105, even some straight pick game for this matchup here. I'm betting under 166.5. I've seen Arizona on the road play a handful of unders. And BYU does grade out as a top 25 defense. I also think BYU in this game, it's just kind of a bit of a culture shock. Utah is legitimately awful. Their defense is outside of the top 200. Dybonsa just had the best game of his young college basketball career. So even if he can do it again, I don't know about the others. I think at 166.5, we have breathing room. I like under in BYU, Arizona. Let's get Tom Vecchio in the mix right here on SportsGrid.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. Certainly there's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
Newswire only on SportsGrid.
Is the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Hey, daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the prospect of daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. We are live on SportsGrid on a Monday night. We're joined by Tom Vecchio. Does a great job here, of course, on SportsGrid. He was on Pro Football today with Joe Lisi. We're going to talk some football, of course, with Tom. But I always like to know if the slate is calling your name, perhaps the ice tonight. Any love?
Yeah, let's start off with the Islanders money line. It's at -102, -105, thereabout where you can find it. Islanders are a good team. They've Sorokin back in net. They are in a spot to really jump on the Flyers. And I often look to East Coast teams that have come back from a West Coast road trip. We often see those East Coast teams starting off slow, and that's what we have with Philly. Also, I want to say they clearly overperformed on the road trip, beating both the Avs and Vegas on that road trip. Like, they're just due for regression in the Isles. They're in a spot to, as you like to say, bounce back. Like, they're just better than the Flyers. That's what it comes down to.
Love a bounce back spot. Absolutely love a bounce back spot. Now, am I wrong, Tom? But the way you set that up, it sounds like maybe not just the one play tonight for you on the card?
So depending on how this game starts, I'm looking to roll that into Oilers, but looking to them probably in regulation. The Oilers money line is -260, 265. Going up against the Ducks. Ducks had a massive comeback win against the Flames the other night. So the Oilers in regulation probably.
Okay, fair enough. I'm curious then, because it seems like you've fully canvassed the NHL slate. We've got two best bets from the boys in the back tonight on the ice, and I know you're not scared to be completely honest of what you make of those wagers. Chris with the Bruins, we've got a goal scorer from Yarnell. Any thoughts there?
The Bruins absolutely a good one. As I've always said, I'm always betting against my Rangers just because they're terrible. First report today that they're pulling a player from the lineup due to protecting him because his name's involved in play trade Susi, so they don't want to get injured. So their team's bad. It's still not just Durkin. It's still quick out there. And getting a Bruins team total is absolutely good. As for Granlund on the Ducks, frankly, 310 is a bit of a stretch for me. And I understand that the goal scoring atmosphere with the Oilers is always beneficial. I just wouldn't be looking to Granlund. I would be looking someone at the top of the lineup, Cutter Gauthier, Chris Kreider, someone along those lines. But I don't hate the look in theory.
Okay, fair enough. I want to ask you, though, Tom, I know you were here in the mix Thursday night doing a great job hosting Game Time Decisions. And, I tune in when I can. I know you had a Peyton Watson play on the card.
Yeah.
And that was a game when he went off 35, right?
Yeah, so that was the game. He went crazy at the 24 PRA at halftime. Win the NBA bet, lose the NHL bet is my best bets of the night. Of course, that's how it happens.
Hey, listen, you know what? A 1-1 is 1-1. I bring it up because now I know that you always kind of keep your fingers on the pulse of what's going on, but the NFL, it's not over, but we're down to a game, right? Yeah. We're not going to have football for 2 weeks. And there are going to be some people who go, okay, let me get involved here. Let me, pick back up the NBA, if you will. I think it's always great for where we can just kind of give it, hey, what's our personal process look like? So where are you at right now with mixing in the NBA?
Well, I will say the being so right about Peyton Watson, obviously that's great. It obviously stokes the fire, right? And that's it's bringing me back in. But it's honestly a combination of that, but it's also the combination of this is the best time of the season because we know where the teams have settled in, and the teams that I would say aren't trying to win are very clear at this point. And then the teams that need to play and win, that's when we start getting non-fluky or less fluky game environments where they are operating as rationally as possible. The rotations are condensed. The rotations are solidified. Yeah. So when we see someone like Watson who, there's no Jokic, there's no Cam Johnson. He's playing 30, 35, 36 minutes a night. His usage is up with those players off the court. He's going up against an awful defense as he was the other night against Washington. When those things hit in the perfect spot, that's what I love to see. So we don't have to worry about, he's averaging 36 minutes, but why did he play 27 this night? Because they got blown out. It's no, he's still going to be playing because Denver needs to win right now. That is the perfect storm.
Yeah, I think for what I will add on top of it is if you want to bet the NBA, you need to, even if you don't bet tonight, cap the slate.
Right.
Get a feel for this thing because you pull up to a game like this, slate like this, you go, whoa, Houston laying a little bit. Oh, Ja got injured. Oh, this guy's out, right? And it can come in waves, right? Or even if you're, hey, Wolves Warriors. That looks like a lot of points. Oh, it's a back-to-back. Steph might not play. Guess what? Steph's out. They ruled Steph out. So if you can, okay, if you want to be in the mix, right, you tune in right here with us. Game Time Decisions. We're going to have Coach James Young stopping by at the top of the hour. Try to even just take the time to canvas that slate a little bit with some regularity. I think it'll really help you find that rhythm. And listen, we talk about, Tom, too, just, unit structure sometimes, and, it's always to each his own. Let's just say, one unit, you want to come into this slate tonight and go for 0.2 units, 4 bets, you know what I mean? And hey, I'm involved. What was right? What was wrong? That's more than fine tonight as I think people get reacclimated. Because listen, I love the NBA. I'm not naive. I know that people have not been paying as much attention as they're about to.
Right. And I would also say that this is also prime time because we're leading right into the deadline. So that's also plays a big part of it. But I just like knowing that I can rely on a player for minutes. And if I can rely on the player for minutes and the game environment overall, not getting out of hand, not turning into a blowout, I'm fine with losing a bet because I know I capped it properly. That I looked at the injury report, I looked at everything. I know this player's seeing high usage and high minutes. And if he doesn't hit it, that's fine. But at least I know I'm starting off with that strong foundation.
100%. So we're going to, of course, talk some NFL with Tom. We have a lot of different kind of avenues that we can cross. I'm going to start because I don't want to shortchange Seattle because we're going to talk some Seahawks in a moment here. I want to ask you this, Tom. What was your biggest takeaway from Broncos Patriots in the AFC Championship game?
I said it on PFT. I said it this morning on the early line. The Pats won in spite of Drake May. That's how I'm phrasing it. I don't care if anyone doesn't agree. He was terrible. 86 yards from a quarterback in a playoff game is unacceptable. And taking 5 sacks for the third straight game in the playoffs is unacceptable. So, he can hit the under on his yardage prop, fine, but 86 yards is not a winning formula. So, and I know the weather played a part. I know it's on the road. I know it's great defense. It was his first career road playoff game. We can throw all these things can be a piece of the puzzle, but they won the game in spite of him. All these things can be true at the same time.
So the thing is, I know I'm talking to the right guy, so I'll go a little semantics here. I do not think they won in spite of him, but he was hardly the reason they won the game, right?
Fair.
When we're doing credit pie, he's getting a small slice of that pie. And I do think, because people are, again, like, I love this. It is again, it's a shame, because if Denver had won, that would have been great for me. There's a lot of buzz around the Super Bowl. You can tell people are excited to bet the Super Bowl. They have strong takes. What I will say about New England in the defense of what you've seen, not just from their offense in the game against Denver, but their offense, Tom, through the first 3 rounds. They are a smart football team, and they are not overly prideful. They know when they look across the field if their opponent doesn't have it. And all 3 times, Tom, they looked across the field and went, "Oh, let's not hand the game over, right? Let's not give Herbert, Stroud, Stidham the game. Let them give the game to us." And it worked out all 3 times.
Right. The thing I would say is like he looked bad, or his props didn't hit, or he didn't throw for touchdowns. But to your point, it's like they do what it takes to win the game. And those are separate things of what we are worried about from a betting perspective, props, this, that, the other thing. In terms of real life folks, like they just win games, and that's what matters. They don't cover, it doesn't matter.
The Seattle Seahawks booked as the favorites. We'll find out what Tom thinks after the break on SportsGrid.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. Certainly there's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But, these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Hey, daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the prospect of daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. We are in the mix with you on a Monday night. Kevin Walsh joined by Tom Vecchio. And Tom, the Seahawks beat the Rams 31-27. So let me just ask this. Let's see where this plane lands. What was your biggest takeaway from the NFC Championship game?
I would say I have two. Sam Darnold definitely did a lot. Definitely did a lot to silence the critics. He showed up when it mattered most, and he was awesome. That's just what it comes down to. He was awesome. And credit to him, credit to the coaching staff. Obviously JSN's been fantastic because of Sam Darnold, and they're calling up good plays. But I also say it's good that they got other players involved in different capacities. I would like to see a little bit more from someone like Rashid Shaheed. I would like to see a little bit more from AJ Barner. That was my first take. Sam Darnold was great. I didn't expect him to be that good. I thought they could win if he threw, let's call it 212 and like one passing touchdown, maybe two, and they could still win the game. But he was flat out awesome. And then for the Rams moving forward, they have the potential to, as I'm phrasing it, run it back in a capacity, but they need another receiving option because Devontae's getting up there in age. They can't only be Puka. And then they need to fix the defense a little bit. The defense was never as good as people thought it was, and it got exposed, especially in the back half of the season, specifically late in the season and against Carolina.
So I definitely think there are Rams takes up for there's a lot of intrigue there with LA, Tom. I don't think you're wrong about that. But I think Darnold is the story. So I want to say this. Never in my wildest dreams that I think Sam Darnold was going to do that in the NFC Championship game. And I can't take that away from him. I think that puts Sam Darnold in a different tier. I think Sam Darnold now, I think Minnesota all of a sudden looks insane, flatly. I think the Seahawks should be looking to re-up with Darnold. When a quarterback does that, you go, okay, that's the guy. It doesn't matter, okay? That a wild card game, maybe, right? A good regular season, you do that, you're the guy, okay? And the Darnold stuff, it didn't even feel real, for lack of a better term. He hit the huge touchdown play to Rashid Shaheed, and it set the tempo of the yardage. But that was a 50-yard catch. It just kept happening. I know JSN was brilliant, but it wasn't even just all JSN. It wasn't. No. In terms of yards accounted for, I don't know if that's one of the higher JSN games of the season. So for Darnold, and it completely bucked the trend of what the Seahawks had been doing for a long stretch, which was Darnold's not losing this game. Hand it off, be smart. Hand it off, be smart. Why I think that is the most fascinating thing that could have happened, though, Tom, is that going to carry over into the Super Bowl? Because, and this is kind of where, the knife comes in, I don't think he does that again in any way. I do not believe Sam Darnold is throwing for 303 in Santa Clara.
The question is, does he need to in order for them to win? Because I would say the same thing. He's not going to do 303, but if he did 75% of that, can they win that game? Can they win the game?
So let me put it to you a different way, okay? Because he of course does not need 303, right? My bigger interest is, Tom, we're in the first quarter, second quarter. Are they just letting him drop back a ton? Because what Darnold did was play clean, and I think the more you drop him back, the more likely it is that he throws the pick six. I mean, that's every. You know what I mean, right? So,
right.
What I'm saying is, do you think Seattle, in a neutral game script, will be this pass heavy?
To an extent, yes, because they need to be. And I'm going to phrase it, they need to be, because the issue with Sam Darnold is that when he's not in rhythm, it's bad, right?
Yeah.
So they need to get him going. They need to build the confidence early, and it has to be consistent. So it doesn't have to be 50-yard plays, but it's if you need to have him have the confidence to show the New England defense that he is a threat to be good, right? And he doesn't have 303, but if he does 75% of that, he needs to have the confidence to say that We can pass and we can run so that when they do need to pass, he can do it. Because if they do run and then he's bad at passing, but then they do need to pass later down the line, that's when he's at his worst, if they haven't already established the consistency.
But I think, look, I think it's really well said, Tom, but it's why I'm not going to say that what Darnold did yesterday will end up bad. That is insane. I am just wondering if the Seahawks are going to have a new level of confidence in their quarterback that could end up costly, right?
It's very fair to say, it comes back to bite them because they're like, oh, hang on, Sam, go sling the ball now. And then it's like, oh, actually, they push the pedal too far, and now they don't have that balance.
And so it is Sam Darnold could go out there, play the worst game of any quarterback in the history of the Super Bowl, and it is worth what happened yesterday, right? That is an all-time Seahawk moment. That's just what it is. It's the moment of Darnold's career up until this point. So that's why I'm not saying it is bad, but what Tom said, I think it is possible that if they go the same route, it backfires in the Super Bowl. I want to ask you this quickly, Tom, and we may expand on this. Is there any world that if yesterday's NFC Championship game was the Super Bowl, JSN wins Super Bowl MVP over Sam Darnold?
No. I just don't see it. As when you have especially with a clean game for Sam Darnold, it wasn't like it was 3 and he maybe had a fumble a fumble, but like multiple picks and he got there.
Yep.
Like it was a really good clean game. It was 3 or 3. I think there's no world that any other player would win it other than Darnold.
So I believe Darnold absolutely wins it. I also believe at the half, JSN would have been the favorite. So
both things are true.
Right? I mean, he had 100 and a score in that first half. It's just, again, Darnold just kept throwing lasers, dude, man. It was so impressive. And I think that's a very interesting setup here. All right, we're going to come right back. Little Rams, little Super Bowl MVP, little early bets in the Super Bowl as well.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. Certainly there's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But, these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's just the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Hey, daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the prospect of daddy being away, he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Okay, guys, Game Time Decisions back right here on a Monday night, and we're joined by Tom Vecchio. And as tempting as it might be to talk Pro Bowl, as obviously everyone is up in arms about Shedeur Sanders making the Pro Bowl, let me make this really easy for everyone. The Pro Bowl doesn't matter. Tyler Huntley made it a couple of years ago. If you are, yes, there was a point where being a Pro Bowler mattered. It now matters about being an All-Pro. That simple. It's not Shedeur's fault. Don't get mad at Shedeur. It's the way the Pro Bowl is. They're called the Pro Bowl games. Like, just knock it off. All right? Now, Tom Vecchio here. And, Tom, I know you are someone who is not scared to get to the window 2 weeks out. So why didn't you give us one of the numbers you've already played here for Super Bowl 60?
Yeah, let's turn to one of the ones I tweeted out earlier. Say George Holani, the now second-string running back for the Seattle Seahawks, over 7.5 receiving yards. Got that over on DK. Good utilization in the most recent game against the Rams. We also look back at all the games that these Pats have played in the playoffs specifically. They've struggled against some running backs in the receiving game. You know, Ken Walker's playing a nice role for Seattle, but they need that secondary and tertiary options in the offense. The way I described it to Joe Lisi on PFT today was, if the Pats are going to do their utmost on defense to neutralize JSN and then neutralize Ken Walker, therefore the other grouping of players need to step up, and that's what's really going to make the Seattle offense move. And I want a piece of that with Holani over 7.5.
Yeah, you know, Tom, it's so I haven't, gotten into the props yet of the Super Bowl. It's such a fascinating number because the idea, right, is Holani is filling in for Charbonnet, and Charbonnet, not a prolific pass catcher by any means, but Charbonnet not catching a ball against the Niners is irrelevant. The game was so, first of all, he got injured in the game. It was also a fake football game, right? Like, there was only 17 pass attempts thrown by Darnold. And what I think people should realize is Charbonnet's final 3 games of the regular season, receiving 4 for 22, 2 for 12, 3 for 23. There's receiving work out there. Now, I don't know if they think Holani is much better, but they can't think he's much worse, right, Tom, based on that game. So such a light number. I see the vision. I certainly do.
Yeah, and they were willing to throw the ball to him against the Rams, and that game mattered the most to the Seahawks. It's up until that point yesterday, that was the most important game they've ever played this season. So if they're willing to get him out there on snaps and then actually get him the ball, he's going to see it. And the pass blocking work is going to come into play if they can get some quick screens or whatever it might be. I think it's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's interesting. The one thing that you need to not have happen, I had R.J. Harvey receiving against New England at 22.5. He landed 22. He had, I think, 21 in his first 2 catches and finished with 2 more catches. Stidham was a wreck. So you need Darnold to just throw the ball a couple of yards in front of the line of scrimmage, and I think that'll go a long way. I'll ask you this, Tom. We've seen this total tick down a point off open. Do you think, I know it's early, but right now, do you think this total could keep falling or maybe settles in a little bit now?
I think it goes back to where it was, honestly. I think it'll go back up to 46. So the way I would describe it, like in my view, is that 46.5, good number to get the under on. That's where the sharp money came in. Casual bettors don't want to have money locked up for 2 weeks. So as we get closer, more and more public money will stack up, and it'll just push it over.
Yeah. One thing I realized for myself, as somebody who has bet New England, I don't have a good feel on this total, and I will not be playing it. I think it's one of the things, like we talk about this, Tom, right? Hey, do you like a side? Do you like a total? And sometimes you like both, right? Like, hey, I think it'll be Denver in the under, Seattle in the over. Yesterday, obviously, would have been. I think one of the reasons I like New England so much is I'm comfortable in both game scripts. Sure. I'm comfortable if we go up and down. I'm comfortable if the game's disgusting. I think they can be there for any kind of equation. Tom, awesome. You know, we'll be talking a ton throughout the lead up to this Super Bowl. Excellent as always. Want to remind people, Louisville Duke is about to get underway. Give me Louisville team total over 73.5 minus 118. We'll get more from Coach James Young next right here on Sports Grid.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, you know, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. There's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But, you know, these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's just the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Hey, daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the prospect of daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Duke Louisville is underway. We are rooting in this Louisville team total over. The game starts appropriately with a Cam Boozer made three. Having such a special season, man. And this draft class, I will tell people this right now. There are going to be a lot of debates over who should go first overall. There are a lot of folks out there who have kind of dug their heels in. Team Peterson, Team Boozer, Team Dybonsa. I have not done that because I don't think that is necessary right now. Like, we kind of have a situation, and I know it isn't common, where you might just have three guys wildly deserving to go first overall in any other draft. Of course, there's going to end up being a correct order, right? They're not going to all end up being the exact same caliber of guy, even if they're all really, really good, which I think they all project to be really, really good. If you held my feet to the fire right now today, I think, and this isn't a common order, I think I'm Boozer, Dybonsa, Peterson, but again, it's January. Someone who can offer a ton of insight into this and who I was actually texting with a little bit over the weekend about is Coach James Young, of course, host of both pro and college basketball today. I love getting the chance to talk hoops with JY, and we all know that is only going to ramp up, JY, now that we are into the heat of it all here, almost February, man, and we've got great games tonight.
We have great games tonight, but Kevin, we're going to be on coming on Saturdays in a couple of weeks. So buckle up, fellas. I don't know if Kevin teased it, but I didn't talk about it, but I just said it anyway. Kevin makes a great point. This is not last year when it's Cooper Flag and that's it, right? To me, it's all about what do you need? And it's completely separate between Diabanza and Boozer and Peterson. Just look at the top of the board, right? If Washington has it, well, they already got Sarr, but so do you go Sarr and Boozer? Maybe not. That's where somewhere like Peterson or Diabanza could come in. Indiana, they give Naismith money. Do you go take Boozer and then trade Siakam? There's that whole angle there. And then there's obviously Atlanta with Jalen Johnson and obviously Ricochet if he doesn't get moved, and Okongwu. Well, that takes him out of the forwards market unless you trade Ricochet, which means it's Peterson. So what does that mean, folks? That means we won't know where they go, honestly, folks, until we get the draft lottery and we see who goes 1, 2, 3, because kind of like what will happen in the WNBA draft, if you don't have a draft in the season, it's going to come out on what teams need, and then you have 3 choices to go from there. And I also want to say this quickly, because I talked to Kevin about this over the weekend. Remember, folks, Cooper Flag is supposed to be in this class too. And he went to school early. Could you imagine if Cooper Flag was in this class, or what Kevin talked about reading this weekend? Cooper Flag and Boozer together? Oh, Lord have mercy.
If Cooper Flag was in this class, the Jazz would have 2 wins. The level of tanking Utah would have done. JY, I know the game tipped, but are you betting Duke Louisville tonight? Anything you like in this game? Something we should keep our eye on?
I like Duke minus the points. Listen, It was an interesting game when they played earlier in this year. Remember, Duke was down, outscored them, I think it was 46-26 in the second half, covered the spread, won by 11. I think Duke is going to be able to score and score enough for them to push through. I like Duke minus points, but I do see it being a track meet up and down until Duke pulls away.
All right, so JY, then the other game on this college basketball slate tonight, featuring one of these superstars. It's BYU, it's Arizona. There's a lot of different ways we can talk about this game, but how are you betting 1 versus 13?
Listen, I'm going to take BYU's team total under 80.5. If you look at the way that they've played defense, Arizona, they're top 10 in effective field goal percentage defense. I think they're number 3 in defensive efficiency. They shoot the ball. They shoot it well. They make you play a slower pace. And BYU has struggled against higher elite scoring teams. And I think this game is going to be a dogfight. So I look at this game to be close. Arizona's on the road, so they're going to have to bring that defense with them. I think they slow this game down if they can. Try to take the exciting plays of Diabanza out. Give me the team total under or 80.5 for BYU.
I know that number, the numbers have been moving quite a bit for that game. That number looks like right now, JY, 82.5 out there. So folks can get in, at a nice number. So let me start then on BYU and Diabanza, JY. How legitimate of a threat do you think this BYU team is to go on that Final Four national championship run with what you have seen from them so far?
Well, if Diabanza could play like Diabanza and give you some of the games he can, absolutely. I mean, the guy is number one, he's a menace defensively, so he covers up a lot of mistakes. 2, he scores in all 3 levels, and if he comes down the lane, go high, don't jump. And then you got Richie Saunders as a great shooter. Coach Young, my cousin, him and me, that's my guy. Coach Young and I were cousins. Not really. But outstanding coach. And I also think, Kevin, I think there's something to be said about this Big 12 season, right? BYU, Arizona, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Houston. You can't tell me whoever comes out of that isn't battle tested. So, and I'll say this right now, and maybe this is wild that I can say this, Kev, all 5 teams can make the Final Four. I really think, depending on how they play and matchups, all 5 of them can make a Final Four run because of their different styles and how they all play.
So, for BYU, and the cop-out is, you're going to find out tonight just how real they are, okay? Because they have had a pretty soft start to their Big 12 schedule. And the one-ranked team they play, Texas Tech, again, not easy to win at Tech. Houston learned that lesson. My gosh, did Kingston Flemings look incredible.
Talk about him. We need to talk about him being a top 5 pick, too. Lord.
It's nuts. And I think he is, by the way. But I have some questions about BYU being able to beat the best teams in the country. So we're going to find out a lot tonight, right, against Arizona. And conversely, for Arizona, JY, do they have anything left to prove, if that makes sense? 20-0, a lot of great wins on the resume. Now, they still have a stretch of basketball awaiting them in, mid-February, March. That's actually going to get even crazier. But what are you looking for from this Arizona team who's already shown us so much?
Kevin, if they're going to slip up at some point and lose a game, and in the Big 12, listen, I'll say this, Kevin, the longer they go undefeated, the more nervous I get in March. Because I feel like they got to hit adversity, right? They got to hit a couple of games where they lose or whatever. But think about this. Let's go with this real quick. BYU, Arizona, at Kansas, at Oklahoma State, will give you problems, home Houston, home Baylor, Colorado, and then at Arizona State, and then Iowa State. That's rugged. But then you said it right now with Arizona, who they got to go through.
Yeah.
With Kansas, Texas Tech, BYU, Houston, and 4 straight games. Kevin, they could be undefeated and lose 4 straight. And I'll still say they're still going to be in a championship contention.
Yeah, they are a clear-cut, obvious contender, right? Make no bones about that with Arizona. It is figuring out the tiers. And is Arizona a tier of their own, a tier with 2 other teams, 3 other teams? And again, I think you will learn quite a bit tonight about Arizona here against BYU. Let's talk some NBA with JY next.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. Certainly there's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But, these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Hey, daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the prospect of daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Okay, Game Time Decisions back with you on this Monday night. The NBA slate just getting underway with the Magic and the Cavs. JY, is that a game that you're involved with on the NBA slate tonight, or maybe one of these 8 o'clock tips?
No, I wasn't involved in any of those. I was involved in games earlier today, obviously, with the win by Atlanta. But to me, the Lakers game is the one I'm intrigued by. I like LeBron to go over his assist prop tonight.
Okay.
I think that's something that he can get going with. And unfortunately for LeBron, every time he plays, I look at who he guards. And Isaac Okoro was at 8.5 over the last 2 games. Lakers are dead last at points per game, 2 small forwards. So maybe look at Isaac Okoro, who's actually playing pretty good right now for the Chicago Bulls.
So there's a whole bunch of things with the trade stuff that JY and I can get into. Last week we did a Kevin 7 on 7 guys who could be traded at the deadline. And JY, I, kept stuck to my guns and I put LeBron on that list. And then the whole Genie Bus report came out. And look, LeBron getting traded is nowhere near the favorite. I just don't understand why. I do not understand why. If he doesn't want to be there, if the Lakers don't want him there, if he wants to win a championship, the Lakers don't care about winning a championship. And by the way, they do not care about winning a championship. It is clear as day in their decisions. Why are we waiting until the offseason? Why? Here's one thing everyone knows, Coach. He's not a Laker next year. He's either retiring or playing somewhere else. Am I wrong about that?
No, it's obvious. And here's the thing, folks. The Lakers are stuck in the middle. They have to do one or two things. Okay? If they want to win now, they trade Austin Reeves. They make one last run with LeBron this year. If they don't, then they move LeBron. And say, all right, Reeves and Luka, that's our backcourt of the future. Send LeBron packing, send him on his way, and allow his chance to go get another ring. You can't be stuck in the middle. And I just think that's very Chicago Bulls-esque. Like, be relevant now, but be relevant in the future. Like, no, it doesn't make sense. LeBron needs to move on. And I'll be honest with you, the way he's talked, especially with the Genie Bus thing, without trashing the Lakers, is basically, I think he wants out. He just hasn't said it yet.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because LeBron is always well aware of narratives, and there's certain things that matter to him. And I think the fact that he's actually never requested a trade, he probably matters to him. So I think he wants to let the contract run, right? And I also think he may not want to be traded, if you know what I mean. Like, I think LeBron.
I think he wants to be released. I think he wants to fight. I think he wants to pick where he goes next.
No, so what I think JY actually is, and I know this isn't a good thing, by the way. I think LeBron won't like the optics of LeBron James was traded away or LeBron James was released. You know what I mean? Like, I think he'd rather just pick the spot. But here's where this all gets really weird, is figuring out then, and I know this is down the road, but don't lie to yourself, okay? You don't have to like LeBron. It'll be the biggest story in sports. What he decides to do. I think there are 3.5 options on the board. Cavs, Knicks, Warriors, and then a half for, like, utter chaos. Like, Clippers, he wants to be in Los Angeles. Sixers, because he and Maxey, clutch. Dallas, Hughes, Wemby and San Antonio. Like, I am giving, like, the percentage of it all, right? There's like a 5% chance where like 26 teams operate in. But it'll be really interesting. And JY, it can impact how some of these teams make decisions now. It's a little weird when reports don't come from Shams or Chris Haynes, but there are some reports surfacing that right now Rich Paul is trying to become Giannis's representation under the pitch of, I'll get you where you need to go, which is fascinating. But I don't know what the heck's going on in the NBA. Every guy who we think might get traded keeps getting hurt. With the latest Giannis injury, JY, I don't think Giannis is getting traded now. Not this year.
No, it'll be interesting. And I want to say this really quick about the Giannis thing because people keep tying Giannis to the Knicks. I want Knicks fans to be careful. Remember, the two last centers he's played with, Miles Turner, Brook Lopez. If you are trading Giannis, and I may say something that's very unpopular with Knicks fans, you can't trade Cat. You need Cat as that stretch five to stretch the floor. Giannis and Mitchell Robinson do not work. It takes away his driving lane. But I'm going to say something here that may be the craziest thing I've ever said on this network. I've been on 4 years. I've said a lot of crazy stuff. If this Rich Paul thing is true, and it's coming from Jake Fisher, I think it's one of them, Stefani's been poking his name around it as well. If this is true, and Giannis is being represented by Rich Paul, do know that there was a meeting last spring or summer between Leon Rose and obviously Rich Paul, and the clutch CAA drama is behind him. I'm going to say this right now. If Giannis ends up in New York somehow, some way, I will put it at over 50% that LeBron James ends up as a Knick. Because I just think it just lines up. And I'm going to say this right now. People are talking about, LeBron ran to the Knicks. Giannis went to the Knicks. Let me tell you something. Winning a championship with the Knicks, those guys would be like Mark Messier winning a cup with the Rangers. Or whoever is the Jet quarterback when they win a Super Bowl. I'm 50. It ain't going to happen, so I'm not even trying to think that's going to take place. But if Giannis goes there, I'm telling you right now, LeBron is next. And if they win a championship, don't be anywhere near New York City because it's going to be pretty, pretty bad. And
remember this. If LeBron wins a championship for the Knicks,
he may pass Jordan.
No. OK Dubs is coming home to New York, and you know it. We'll be right back here on Game Time Decisions.
Is the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Basically, my co-host on Game Time Decisions, Josh Doan, is featured so much. And I also want to say this basically now confirms we are the premier Josh Doan network in all of sports media. No way no other show mentions Josh Doan as much as this one. Is that a success? Is that a failure? I don't know, but I think it's true.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Meanwhile, Charlie Baker of the NCAA has planted his flag. He wants to see the end of prediction markets and, of course, is a little bit nervous with all of the different stories that we've heard surrounding sports betting allegations of some folks being corrupt out there and maybe some point shaving. It does make some sense here. I just wonder which of the sports betting operators are going to stand with the NCAA.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie, and I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So, so that was, I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show in.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Okay, game time decisions. We are back right here on Sports Grid. And we've got Brady Cannon coming up. I know we usually will do like the look ahead lines Tuesday or Wednesday. It's the Super Bowl. I think it's good to get Brady in. I also, Golf Guy Kev, I got some questions. All right? I got some questions. We'll get to them. But I want to take a look. We haven't updated these in a little bit. The prediction market expectations right now for the head coach openings that we still have out there and available. Of course, if I want to let people know, if you are enjoying some of that prediction market coverage, if you're enjoying following these odds, we're up in the ante a little bit. Prediction Market Edge, Donnie Rightside, Joe Ranieri, they are really immersing themselves in the Kalshi, the poly market of it all. That show airing a few times throughout SportsGrid. I know Saturday mornings, 9:30 in the morning, you can catch it. So make sure you are checking that out right here on SportsGrid, where one of the biggest moves is Buffalo, 61% to hire the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive coordinator, Grant Adinsky. Listen, did I nail that? We don't know. Who's only 30 years old. I am older than the Buffalo Bills' potential head coach. And what I think that really means is I am now a clear-cut head coach candidate, right? I think it means at the minimum, Eagles give me a call offensive coordinator. I mean, it's not like, what's the harm in it, right? Not like much else is working, right? It's like maybe the guy that you kept around to be head coach, bad option. I don't know. I might know. Might actually be able to tell clear as day. Interesting. So for Buffalo, I will say, Grant getting this job, GU as we all know him, this would be a bit of a shocker to me. I was not expecting this team to go outside of really the network of just Joe Brady and Brian Daboll. And what's really interesting is we're hearing the reports that Josh Allen is heavily involved in this head coaching search. I think there's some value on Clint Kubiak. I do. I buy that Buffalo is waiting to fully get Clint into the building. He's obviously, they're going to have to wait a little bit longer. I buy the Darnold, Josh Allen friendship vouch. I buy all of that. I think there's some value here on Clint Kubiak in the prediction markets to become the Buffalo Bills' next head coach. Now, the Cleveland job, and Nathan Schlase is, neck and neck with Jim Schwartz. This is very, and that's like Nate S., right? Me, good pal Nate. Right? Listen, can we hire a Smith? Can we hire a Smith? Need a little help here. All right, guys? I'm fighting for my life. Can we hire a U? Can we it would help me a lot. Just saying. Can we hire, I'm just saying. Nate S., though, could certainly get this job at 35 years of age. Basically, he's unk. I mean, compared to the Bills candidates. What's so bizarre for Cleveland is they are seemingly either going to hire this cutting edge, hopefully coach for the next 20-year guy, or clear stopgap Jim Schwartz, who would be lucky. It would be over under 1.5 seasons as the head coach of the Browns would be the Jim Schwartz over under. At 2.5, you'd slam the under. It's very, very odd. Vegas right now, we know they're interested in Kubiak. There's a lot of buzz around Davis Webb. I mean, people should be crawling all over themselves to get this job. Fernando Mendoza's a beast. Obvious first overall pick. Brock Bowers in-house. Davis Webb, you want to talk about a layup. Are you kidding me? Oh, off the glass. Webb. No problem. No problem. Are you kidding me? Really? Davis Webb. I'll tell you this. I like Davis Webb to get the Vegas job. I like him to get the Cleveland job. I like him to get the Buffalo job. I like him to get the Eagles job. I used to not be able to say Dable. It takes me a while. That's all I'm saying.
about this before, Kevin. And it's not a great price. I mean, you're going to lay minus 300 or maybe, I don't know, probably in that neighborhood. But you bet them to finish top 5 every week.
Yeah,
right?
crazy. Yeah.
That's probably a better way to go. Seriously, it's not that bad of a bet for him to finish top 5. Every time he tees it up in a tournament, bet him to finish top 5. See
So
how
I
might.
Brady did just some like I think that's okay.
Yeah.
You win 6 tournaments with Scotty, you'd make 2,100, which basically means if he plays 27 and went 6 and 21 win-loss, you'd break even.
Right.
Now, I am not saying that it is easy to win 6 tournaments. What I'm saying is 1 in the door, right? 1 in the door, and it's just, again, feel free to tell me I am overreacting to a tournament. But
I don't think you are. I mean,
it's he dominated the thing. We had
he didn't really dominate it until Sunday.
I guess I mean the final number. Yeah.
He was right there the entire time. And what's interesting too is he had never won on his season debut before, and he had never also shot 63 in the opening round of his season debut before. So maybe that was a little bit of, maybe that was foreshadowing. We should have jumped on him after he did that. But it's such a random tournament. We've seen so many huge, massive long shots win this event before. We've seen Scotty miss the cut before. It's the weakest field he ever competes against throughout the calendar year, and he's never won it before. So it was a little bit of a surprise. But to your point, what does this mean now? What does this mean going forward? He's never won at Torrey Pines before, and that's where we are next week. And of course, the featured pairing will be Brooks Koepka, Ludwig Åberg, and who's the third guy in that group? It's not Scheffler, Max Homa. So Max Homa and Ludwig Åberg, a couple of recent winners at Torrey Pines, and then Brooks Koepka, the return of BK to the PGA Tour. Going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just mention this quickly on Scotty, and I know Blades Brown is a kid, but the fact that this kid shot a 60 and all that got him was the co-lead through 2 days is just one of the...
Sunday, did you see that?
Yeah. I mean, right. At some point, you got to imagine for an 18-year-old that's going to go backwards. But, the fact that this kid, it's like, hey, if you want the halfway lead, you need a 59. It's like, you got to be kidding me with this stuff. Brady, was outside of Scotty, was there anything else that you really took away from the Amex? I mean, hey, how about Jason Day up there with a T2?
Yeah.
Siwoo with another pretty good showing as well.
You know what? Jason Day actually, kind of won the tournament in a sense. He played the very best for his 2 rounds on the stadium course. And the stadium course is the most difficult of the 3 in the rotation. Now, obviously, Scotty wins it with 27. I believe it was 27 under par. This is clearly a birdie fest. All these golf courses are clearly pretty easy. But the toughest of the 3 is the Pete Dye Stadium course. Each player plays 1 round there Thursday through Saturday, and then they play the final round there on Sunday. Jason Day killed everybody if you throw out the Nicklaus Tournament course and La Quinta Country Club and you just keep it to the stadium course. Jason Day did really, really well. And it's odd that he couldn't expand upon that with the other 2 easier courses. He it's like what they say, beat the tough teams and lose to the teams you're supposed to beat. He took down the hardest challenge, but couldn't take advantage of the easier stuff. And that's interesting too. What does that mean going forward for Jason Day? Does that mean he's really looking at having a big year? If he was able to play the toughest course better than anybody else, including Scotty Scheffler. And I love seeing Jason Day do well. I think he's a great character to have, at the top of leaderboards. I hope Brooks Koepka comes out on fire. I'm sure he'll get a lot of action this week, people kind of rooting for him to do well. But this is absolutely a big boy golf course. This is not a birdie fest like we saw last week. Torrey Pines has hosted the U.S. Open a couple times. It's going to be a difficult test, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, the one thing I will say with this tournament, though, and you'd tipped me off to this during our earlier week conversations, is the fact that it's because it's played on all these different courses, you can't get the tracking data for all of them. And I will just say, like, I understand, listen, I like that golf has unique things. It's a little bit like in Major League Baseball, like the stadiums are different, right? Like, but we're too far gone to be like, yeah, you can't get your data. You know what I mean? Like, I go to my beloved little data golf, and I don't know what's going on in the tournament.
It's the same thing this week, where we have Torrey Pines South and Torrey Pines North. Now, 75% of the tournament will be played on the South course, where we do have the data. But everybody will play one round before the cut on the North course. And again, we don't have the shot link data. And, you know, I saw a comment earlier today. It's 2026. Why don't we have shot link data? And it's a valid point. So I don't know. Maybe we will in 2027.
Yeah, I just think as someone who is, I think everyone can tell I'm really into the golf early season, right? I think it's fun. I think I've only gained an appreciation from it with my conversations with Brady, with Cam Stewart. I don't want things to get in the way of that, right? And, like, I didn't bet that tournament live because I was missing the things that I personally need to be able to do that.
No
so
doubt.
I just wanted to, mention a little bit. We're going to talk
point.
Super Bowl 60 with Brady next. Seahawks, Pats, the movement we've already seen.
Just the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Basically my co-host on GameTime Decisions, Josh Doan, is featured so much. And I also want to say this basically now confirms we are the premier Josh Doan network in all of sports media. No way no other show mentions Josh Doan as much as this one. Is that a success? Is that a failure? I don't know, but I think it's true.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Meanwhile, Charlie Baker of the NCAA has planted his flag. He wants to see the end of prediction markets, and of course is a little bit nervous with all of the different stories that we've heard surrounding sports betting allegations of some folks being corrupt out there and maybe some point shaving. It does make some sense here. I just wonder which of the sports betting operators are going to stand with the NCAA.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie, and I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So yeah, so that was I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show with.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back at the right here on SportsGrid on a Monday night. Kevin Walsh, we're joined by Brady Cannon. Talked a little bit about the golf, but of course, we love the opportunity to get to the early numbers. And, you know, ironically, in Super Bowl terms, we might as well be late, right? I mean, the number gets posted right away. It's the Super Bowl. But I think we did a nice job getting to it here on a Monday. We've actually already seen movement a little bit, right, Brady, on this Seahawks-Patriots spread. So let the people know. What have you made this number already, and kind of what you make of this matchup?
Well, it's pretty interesting. On Saturday, we were, of course, looking ahead at what the potential, the hypothetical lines were going to be. It was about 7.5 for either the Rams or the Seahawks if they were going to face Denver. And it was 3.5 for both Seattle and the Rams if they were to face the Patriots. And sure enough, when the game, when the matchup came to fruition, it opened 3.5, and it was immediately bet to 4, and then 4.5, and then even 5. And it stayed there all the way until this morning. And now we've seen the buyback hit, and it's down to 4.5. A truly consensus 4.5. But it is interesting that the sharpest book in the world has 5 still hanging at their store. I also was a little bit worried. I was making the number in my own head, what I thought it would be. And I was kind of going, okay, this, that, the other. And I came up with Seattle by 4. And then I actually awarded a point for home field advantage because Seattle is so familiar with that stadium. They play there once every year and have for the last 12 seasons. Now, I know this current Seattle regime has not been there for 12 seasons, but the point is this organization has been there for a long time. And I think travel for this team obviously will be much easier. Travel for their fans will be much easier. And I don't think you're going to get overwhelming discrepancy in the fan support in the stadium, but maybe it'll be a little bit. But I think all of that combined does give Seattle a quote unquote little bit of a home field advantage, just slightly. So I went from 4 to 5 with that, and I landed on 5, and I'm like, boy, I know the look ahead was 3.5. I wonder if I'm way off here. Sure enough, it turns out I was basically spot on. And then, Kevin, when I crunch my numbers and I come out with Seattle 6.5. So I can tell you, I have already bet the Seahawks. I bet them at 4, and I bet them at 4.5. And of course, 4.5 is pretty much where we are right now. I think there's a lot of cases you can make for both sides right now, just fresh off of these games on Sunday. And I don't think too many people are going to disagree that Seattle's the better team. Can they put together that performance in 2 weeks and beat New England by 5 or more points? We will see. I think they're very capable of doing it.
Yeah, it's interesting, Brady, because I actually already bet New England at +5.
Well, good for you. It's not a bad. Hey, we can both win, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what's interesting to me is when you kind of crunch those numbers, right? How long has that matchup been 6.5, if you will, right? Like I know, like you're inputting data the whole time. And I feel like this would have been a perceived matchup that would be pretty close. And I'm trying to get a sense of when this flipped for everyone, because unless you disagree, I don't think that is a small number to be laying in a Super Bowl when recent Super Bowl history, it feels like every game's 1.5.
Well, yeah, I think the underdog is covered in like the last 7 Super Bowls in a row or something like that. So maybe the favorites do. That makes me feel a little better. But no, you're right. 6.5 is a very big number. And I don't think we're ever going to get there. I think if it got to 6, I'd probably take the Patriots too. But 5's a tweener number. 5's a dead number, like they like to say. I don't think 4.5 is a bad bet with the Patriots. I don't think it's a bad. I mean, it's very early. We're still trying to figure out the handicap here. That was just my first move. We'll see what else I do with this thing. But basically, my numbers are reflective of week 1 through week 16. I threw out week 17 and week 18. Those are pretty much meaningless games. Now, the Seattle Seahawks played a great game in week 18 in beating the San Francisco 49ers. So did the Patriots. I think they beat up on the Dolphins, if I recall. If you incorporate the playoffs, I think that would be even worse for the New England numbers. They have done nothing against the Chargers and the Texans. They could have easily lost both of those games. They've turned the ball over number of times, multiple times in both of those games. And then Seattle crushes San Francisco 41-6 or whatever that was. So again, I'm just going to throw all that out there, but over the course of the season, I do believe Seattle. And this is also interesting. I know you're familiar with DVOA and Aaron Schatz, who has run that site for many, many years. If you go back to 1978, and I know Patriots fans hate to hear this, he ranks and he's a Patriots fan. The Patriots' schedule this year, he ranks the third worst in that time span. In DVOA, he ranks them as the 12th worst team to make the Super Bowl since 1978. Now, I don't believe that they're a bad team at all. They're obviously very good. But do I think Seattle can beat them by 5? Yeah, I do.
You know, it's interesting. I will say I actually think, and I have respect for DVOA, I do think this is Aaron Schatz's Super Bowl because DVOA, I just think in recent history, it wildly overvalues. It's a small sample size game, the blowouts, and Seattle is a phenomenal blowout team. And again, they're here, right? But we will see if they are able to put up that type of performance within, every year the Ravens are the DVOA king. Every year I'm betting a Super Bowl that doesn't involve Baltimore. The Detroit Lions last year, DVOA kings, didn't win a playoff game. We see that happen. I just want to ask you this, Brady, before we let you get out of here. We'll talk a few times, I'm sure, leading up to the big game. We're at 4.5 mostly right now. More likely back to 5 or down to 4?
Good question, man. If I had to guess right now, I'd say it closes 4.5. I think you're probably going to bounce around a little going both ways, but I think the closing number, I could definitely see 4.5.
Yeah, I think that is totally fair. I'm really excited to watch the movement here leading up to this game. Even the total we talked about has moved a little as well. Excellent. Always great to talk to Brady leading up to this game. We're going to get you best bets on the way out next on SportsGrid.
57% chance of winning a PGA Tour major? Would I be wrong by saying I want to invest in the no on Scotty Scheffler? And that $100 investment would pay back $213 here. Everybody thinks Scotty's going to win. It's like 100 golfers in those fields each and every week in the majors, the best golfers in the world. I'm going against the grain, Joe. Give me the no on Scotty Scheffler.
Prediction Markets Edge. Only on SportsGrid.
What is going on with this John Morant saga? Right? Joe's on the block. Joe wants to be traded. But now Joe comes back and he denies all trade talk and says John says he has no desire to play elsewhere. So he shut it down. He's still viewed as a franchise centerpiece when on the floor. Memphis, they're better with him.
Pro Basketball Today. Only on SportsGrid.
The Buffalo Bills have to find a new head coach. Take a look at the leaders right now. A 33% chance Brian Dable takes that job. You say, well, why? Wait a second here. Who's the head coach of the New York Giants? Did you know he came from the Buffalo Bills and basically resurrected Josh Allen on that MVP trajectory while he was with the Buffalo Bills? Clint Kubiak, Joe Brady, Davis Webb, all offensive guys, which I agree with.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Game time decisions back right here on SportsGrid on a Monday night. We're going to update the college board. We're going to talk what's remaining on the college board in just a second. There is one thing that I am realizing that I believe about the New England Patriots that I do not think will be a super common thought, outside of people who are Patriots fans that could be, one, explaining why I've already bet New England, but I think creating the opportunity, I believe this is an opportunity to be on New England at a better number than we should be getting. And, we'll definitely, I'm sure, at some point talk to Matt Peralt, Adam Kaufman, that, New England side. I can't wait to talk to Cam, the Seattle side of it, right? But with New England, I really believe that as they played the Chargers, they knew, hey, we absolutely can just shut this thing down, right? Like, they have no chance. And against the Texans, they go, oh, Stroud's a mess, right? Let's play smart football. And I think that was unbelievably evident in the game going up against Denver. The field goal decision by the New England Patriots was, you could debate a little bit, right? At minimum, maybe the fact that, on 3rd and 3, they weren't they were kind of getting creative, right, when the ball was at the 2-yard line instead of worrying about the touchdown. But with, of course, just the enhanced weather and their opponent, they shut it down. I think New England, if the name of their game was not just win, but win by more, I think that was available to them probably in each of the 3 games. So I think that can create some value on the Patriots side. If you agree with me that New England is the side, but you are not looking to bet yet, or you want to make sure you time it right, you're only going to bet one time, you can probably wait. I think just talking to Brady, the fact that he says some of the sharper books are still sitting on 5, it seems like maybe this number goes that direction. Maybe it just closes 4.5. But, and again, at 5 and 4.5, the difference is a push versus a win. If it lands 5, it's not the biggest difference necessarily in the world, but I am already on New England, and we will talk about that, of course, in the lead up to the big game. Now, as far as bets go, Louisville has more than a lot of work to do if they want to come back in this game against Duke. They scored 28 first half points here. They just ugly. But where it's really ugly is the 2-point field goal percentage. 4 for 14, unacceptable from Louisville. I know Duke is really, really good defensively, but when you're in the interior, you got to be able to make layups. You got to be able to make jump shots. And this team just right now cannot do that. And in reality, they're actually shooting a bit of a better percentage from 3. They would be better off having shot 20, 25 threes in that first half than trying to not play the math game against this Duke team. The Louisville team total specifically would need a barrage. Here, and one that I'm not looking to live bet on at all. Live NHL slate right now. Bruins did grab one in the first period, so still some work to do, but at least on the board as they trail the Rangers 2-1. Tom with the Islanders up 1-0 against the Flyers, still waiting on the start for the matchup between the Ducks and the Oilers, where you'll get Yarnell's best bet on Michael Grenland. Anytime goal at plus 310. And then AJ's favorite bet, which is BYU Moneyline plus 105, still to come. Dybonsa and the boys look to hand the number 1 team in college basketball their first loss of the season. I am on the under 166.5 in that game, as I've seen some unders from Arizona on the road. I think that BYU as a top 25 defense, maybe being a little undersold on that side of the ball in this matchup. So that is how I am going to play the biggest game that is not yet started on tonight's slate. And I am sure In Game Live will have you covered throughout. Next.